Parents, when was the moment you saw your child's spirit break? My daughter Lily has been obsessed with horses since she could walk. I'm talking about a kid who would gallop around our backyard, making horse noises, sleep with stuffed horses every night, and knew every breed by the time she was 6 years old. When she turned 8, we finally had enough saved up to get her riding lessons at this local stable about 20 minutes from our house. The moment she sat on that horse for the first time, I knew we'd made the right choice. Her whole face lit up like Christmas morning. For 2 years, Lily lived and breathed those Saturday morning lessons. She'd wake up at 5 in the morning, already dressed in her riding boots, counting down the hours until we could leave. She had this little notebook where she'd write down everything she learned each week: how to hold the reins properly, how to post during a trot, how to communicate with the horses using her legs and voice. She was completely devoted. Her instructor, Miss Katie, always said Lily had natural talent. She had this gentle way with the horses that you usually don't see in kids her age. Even the more difficult horses would calm down around her. By the time she was 10, Lily was jumping small courses and talking about maybe competing in local shows someday. She'd watch YouTube videos of professional riders for hours, studying their techniques and dreaming about having her own horse one day. That's when we started looking into buying her first horse. We'd been saving up for months, researching different breeds, visiting other stables to see what might be a good fit for a beginner who was ready for more responsibility. Lily made a whole presentation on her laptop about why she was ready for her own horse. She calculated the costs of feed, vet bills, boarding fees. She even found a part-time stable hand job she could do on weekends to help pay for expenses. We found the perfect horse at this farm about an hour away. A gentle 12-year-old mare named Buttercup who was great with kids but still had enough spirit to help Lily grow as a rider. The owner, an elderly woman named Mrs. Peterson, really liked Lily. She could see how much my daughter loved horses and was willing to work out a payment plan that we could actually afford. We were supposed to pick up Buttercup on a Saturday morning in March. Lily had been counting down the days for 3 weeks. She'd already bought brushes, a halter, and had picked out the perfect spot in our barn. The night before we were supposed to get Buttercup, Mrs. Peterson called me around 9 o'clock. I could hear in her voice that something was wrong. She explained that her grandson, who lived in California, had suddenly decided he wanted to move back home and take over the family farm. He'd seen how much Buttercup was worth and decided to sell her to a buyer who could pay full price immediately instead of our payment plan. Mrs. Peterson was crying on the phone, saying she was so sorry, that her family was pressuring her, and that she had no choice. I had to go upstairs and tell Lily that Buttercup wasn't coming home with us after all. The look on her face when I explained what happened is something I'll never forget. It was like watching someone physically break something inside her. She didn't cry at first. She just stared at me for a long moment, then quietly said, "So we're not getting her?" When I shook my head, that's when the tears started. But it wasn't just crying. It was this deep, heartbroken sobbing that seemed to come from somewhere I'd never seen before. "But I already named the stall for her," she whispered. "I already told everyone at school that I was getting my own horse." She cried herself to sleep that night. But the worst part came the next morning. Lily, who had never missed a riding lesson in 2 years, told me she didn't want to go to the stable anymore. She said it wasn't fun anymore, knowing that she'd probably never have her own horse. Over the next few weeks, I watched my daughter's entire personality change. She stopped talking about horses. She took down all the horse posters from her bedroom walls. She didn't want to watch horse movies or read her horse books anymore. The kid who used to gallop around our backyard suddenly had no interest in anything horse-related. It was like that one disappointment had convinced her that her dreams were pointless. We tried finding other horses, but nothing felt right to Lily anymore. She'd lost that spark, that absolute certainty that horses were her calling. 3 years later, she still hasn't gotten back on a horse. She found other interests, other hobbies, but that pure joy she had about riding never came back. Sometimes I catch her looking at horses when we drive past farms, and I can see a flicker of that old excitement in her eyes. But then it disappears, like she's reminding herself not to hope for things that might not happen. That night broke something in her that I'm not sure will ever fully heal.